It begins with a father standing in the hallway of his Massachusetts home, listening. It's quiet, a little too quiet. For weeks, the house has just felt wrong, unsettled, like the air is heavier in certain rooms, kind of like the walls are a little bit off, almost as if the walls sometimes breathe. His daughters, they swear they hear whispering at night, knocking sounds, footsteps moving down the hallway, even when everyone is sleeping. It's the kind of sounds that make you stop mid-sentence because you're pretty sure someone else is in the house. But every time the dad checks the rooms, he checks everywhere, they're always empty. He started to blame the pipes. He started to blame the wind. Started even blame that, hey, this house, it's just old. That's what you do, right? When you have no other explanation. But tonight, something feels different. Feels more focused. It feels more present. He opens his daughter's door. They're asleep. But the closet door, he swears it wasn't cracked a little bit ago. He reaches for the doorknob, and that's where we're going to leave this for now. Because to understand what's waiting behind that door, Meg, you need to know what led this family to that moment. This is one of the most disturbing stories in American true crime. And for a long time, no one knew what they were actually dealing with.
Dun, dun, dun.
I'm looking at your face. You're like, what?
Intrigued.
Are you intrigued?
I am.
Yeah, so we're in Massachusetts. There's something going on. Does your gut have anything going on before we jump into this, or do you want to not accidentally guess what's happening?
I just want to get into it.
Oh, I know you've been watching a lot of Stranger Things. This could be a Stranger Thing. All right. Well, if you want to just jump into this, let's go. It's the Yore Town Podcast, everybody. I'm Matt. That's Meg. Without further ado, we're getting into it. We're going to go to Pepperell, Massachusetts. Fairly good chance I said it wrong. We're going to 1986, Meg. A small New England town where the biggest scare usually comes from a late night electric bill. You got Frank Bowen. He's raising his daughters alone after the very recent death of his wife. The girls, they're grieving in the way that kids do in the 80s. Quietly, at night, when the house is dark and kind of everything reminds them of her. And that's kind of when strange things begin to happen. The girls, they are having to kind of entertain themselves and, kind of babysit themselves a lot with dad at work. Mom just recently passed away. They're all kind of dealing with some things. And the girls, they decided to get out the Ouija board, Meg.
Oh boy.
Down in the basement, they decide they're gonna use this. They don't want to talk to the spirits. They don't want to do this for fun. They want to try to talk to Mom. They really miss Mom. And according to family accounts and investigators, the Bowen girls believed that they were connecting with their mother through these Ouija board sessions. They would, use this. And I mean, at first it seems harmless, right? Kids, they're trying to cope with a loss. The Ouija board, but then things started to happen, Meg. When they would ask for signs, they'd hear taps. Then more knocks. More taps. Then messages appear that seem pretty real, pretty personal, pretty direct. Like I said, they'd ask questions. Is that you, Mom? Knock, knock, knock. Give us another knock if that's you. The next thing you know, objects, they started to move slightly. Small things, Meg, would start to go missing. Then they would reappear somewhere else, right? It's not supernatural, right? Maybe not yet.
I don't mess with Ouija boards.
Never going to see one in this house. That's for sure, right? And I mean, this is the kind of stuff that any grieving family might misinterpret, right? But then the daughters, they start hearing footsteps. Footsteps that move when everybody's accounted for and nobody's moving. It was almost like the footsteps were coming from inside the walls. They complain that someone was watching them when they sleep, that there are cold spots, Meg, in their bedroom, that their closets smell like old sweat, almost like Somebody's been inside them. And their father, he wants to believe it's just grief. I mean, he needs to believe it. He's just saying the kids are going through some stuff. It's nothing, right? And then every time that these girls would hear something, Dad never did. They'd ask for signs. Dad, check this out. Check this out. Mama's here. Never happened. Ever. They started to think maybe it's a raccoon. No signs of raccoon. Maybe it's a big rat. No signs of it. And he's kind of started to get to the point where he was just like, girls, we need to knock this off, or we're going to go to counselor. We're going to talk to somebody about this. But then one night, Meg, he hears it too. A scraping, a dragging sound, almost like wood shifting behind drywall, like someone's squeezing through a narrow space or something. He checks the house. He checks every window. He checks every lock. Sees nothing. Finds nothing. Everything seems intact. But the sounds, they don't stop. And in a small town, word spreads in the way that it does, right? Small town, people talk. Neighbor, they say that they've been seeing shadows moving throughout the upstairs windows when the family they knew wasn't home. Another neighbor reported kind of hearing what sounded like a scream late at night, followed by slamming of a door. Police, they're eventually called multiple times, not for crime, not for noises, for lights turning on and off, for things missing. Each time the cops arrive, they find nothing. No forced entry, no footprints in the snow, no signs that anybody's been inside. Officers, they were reported describing Frank as just exhausted. You know what I mean? He's raising 2 girls. He's working his butt off. He's worn down. He's really just trying to hold it together for his daughters, right? Maybe he's hearing some things too. Sleep deprivation's not great, right?
Right.
He even starts to sleep on the couch just to keep a better ear on the rooms, the hallway, the girls. This goes on for weeks. Just a little noise here, a little noise there, but then things start to escalate.
Uh-oh.
What are you thinking so far, Meg?
I want to say ghost, but I could be very wrong.
Could be wrong, but
someone living in the walls.
It's crazy, right? Then the girls, they're home alone. Dad's at work. They go down to the basement. They want to try another Ouija board session, right? And then they see something that's like written, almost in like ketchup, maybe even mayonnaise, just saying like, go to your room. Just some weird messages. They get scared. They're home alone. They go to the neighbor's house. The neighbor's house are like, what's going on? They're making this up. The dad, more or less, comes home, sees the message, right? But thinks the girls are kind of doing it. Like they're doing it for attention, kind of. And it's hard to believe, I guess, right? But then there's a cold night. Mid-1986. The house makes a thump loud enough that Frank bolts upright. Walks down the hallway, and the girls' room is quiet, Meg. A little too quiet. Let's jump back to that closet door. He notices it's open just a few inches, but he tells himself, it's nothing. Maybe one of the girls just forgot to close it, right?
Yeah, I don't like that.
Something's off too, Meg. You can just feel it. And there's that smell. It's metallic. It's sour. It's almost like old sweat mixed with garbage. He reaches for the doorknob. He opens it. And his brain really struggles to process what he's looking at. Because you know what he's looking at, Meg? It appeared to be something, someone, face painted with smeared ketchup, with mayonnaise, almost like a twisted war paint. The hair sticking up, wild spikes. The person's filthy, grime under every fingernail, clothes ripped, stained, and it's almost like it's a white wedding dress. And in the hands of this person, there's a hatchet, there's a wrench, items that have been missing from Frank's toolbox. You know what he tells him? Get into the bedroom with the daughters and don't do anything stupid. Frank reacts on instinct, slams the door on the person, the intruder, grabs the girls. The youngest, I think it was the youngest, one of the daughters, terribly frightened, jumps from the second-story window and runs to the neighbor's house, as they have before, screams for help, to call the cops. They call the cops. They get out of the house, right? Cops are searching. They search every single room. The attic. They search everything. They find nothing, Meg. Nothing. So they decided, hey, we understand something's going on. You guys are seeing this. At this point, they don't know if the dad's kind of starting to go a little crazy. Maybe the girls are going a little crazy, but they know what they saw. They know what they saw, right? So the cops, they start to, stake out the place. They start to keep an eye on the place, Meg. Shift after shift after shift. They see nothing. They see nobody go in. They see nobody go out. So one day in between the shifts, the dad wants to go home, just grab a couple of things for the girls, assuming there's going to be a cop there. But he shows up, Meg. There's not a cop there. There's nobody. So he calls and says, hey, because he looked up in the window. He saw somebody walking around his house. So he called the police and was like, hey, is anybody in there? You guys doing like a stakeout from inside? And they're like, no, you don't see the cop out front. He's like, there is nobody here, but there is somebody in my house. And they said, you must have just caught him right in between shifts. It's okay. They'll be right there. I bet you by the time you hang up this phone, go outside, the cop will be there. So he hangs up the phone. The cops are there. He explains the situation. They're like, all right, well, we'll go take another look, He walks inside, Meg. There's pennies. There is stuff everywhere in the house. The house is ransacked. It's weird. And the cop didn't know really what to think because they have been watching it and they haven't seen a single person go inside that place. So they bring backups and they decide that they really need to investigate a little bit more. They search everywhere. They get through the mess. They go down in the basement. There's like writings on the wall and they're going, what the hell? It stinks in there. One of the cops was just kind of looking around, mind blown, right? Kind of leans up against the washer or the dryer, kind of easily slid. And he's like, what the heck? They slide it over. They find what appears to be a hole behind it. Big enough, just big enough for someone or something to be able to get in there. Almost like somebody was in there. So they look a little bit closer. They start to see a tunnel system that's kind of inside the walls. Then they find food wrappers. They find somebody sleeping in there on clothes, on walls, or on clothes, on blankets, towels, like a nest that they made.
Interesting.
I mean, there is a network through this house. It wasn't a break-in. This was a residency. The intruder had been listening, watching, tracking them. The haunting wasn't supernatural at all. It was deliberate. It was calculated. It was human. And the intruder, Meg, his name was Daniel LaPlante.
It's like the nightmare version of that kids movie. What is it? The Borrowers?
I don't know. I hadn't seen it.
I think it's the Borrowers where they like go in and out of the walls.
Yeah.
Like mice.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about now.
They're like little people.
And this is the part that people never saw coming, Meg. This entire horror story. The walls, the stalking, the closet. This wasn't even the worst crime yet. Not even close. This was just beginning. I think this is the time we talk about Daniel real quick. Paint the picture a little bit. Because this is what are you thinking? Yeah, there's a lot going through. I'm looking at you and you're going, what?
Psycho.
Right? How crazy is this?
Some mental illness.
What I was going to say, try to paint the picture of what you think has happened in old Daniel's life to get to this point.
Childhood trauma.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm going with.
Okay. So, like I said, before we get to the worst part of the story, let's understand who this person was and how he potentially landed in the Bowen home, because let's be honest, people, let alone boys, don't just start living inside walls out of nowhere. Daniel LaPlante, born May 15th, 1970 in Townsend, Massachusetts. Parents, they divorced early. He lived with his ma, who remarried, creating kind of a blended family. What we do know for certain from, court records that we looked up, psychological evaluations, and then even in Daniel's own testimony, is that he alleged that his biological father abused him. These allegations were presented formally in a 2017 kind of resentencing, and they're a part of the official case records now. His childhood environment was described, I guess, by psychiatrists as chaotic and abusive. I mean, that's right in court records that I was able to find. Struggled with multiple diagnosed learning and behavioral disorders like dyslexia, learning disabilities, attention deficit, that's a tough word, and hyperactive disorders, ADHD. Teachers described him as strange, unkempt, socially withdrawn. He was referred to a psychiatrist for many behavioral issues and later claimed that the psychiatrist also apparently abused him. Another allegation that appeared in some cases. I mean, so you got this poor kid going through terrible, terrible things that nobody, let alone a kid, should go through by people you're supposed to be able to trust. Your dad, psychologist, you're trying to get him the help. The help's making it worse, right? Evaluators concluded that obviously the early environment contributed to, how would you call it, emotional disturbances. He obviously then started to develop distrust of adults, emotional detachment, poor boundaries, antisocial traits, and these factors, they don't excuse of him as of the crimes or whatever. They could maybe explain how a boy could reach a point where he was hiding inside the walls of another family's home, and that maybe it just felt normal. I don't know. Years that would follow, the behavior would escalate far beyond voyeurism and home invasion. It got really bad. And I feel like we get to the point that was really bad, and maybe listener and viewer discretion should be advised for this. After now, we kind of know a little bit about him. After he's arrested and taken in from the cops, well, he's arrested, but he was released on bail. He was to live with the mom and the stepfather, and while he was living in there, he was supposed to be being watched. Guess what, Meg?
I'm going to guess he wasn't.
He disappears and starts to break into homes once again. And on December 1st, 1987, not good. That's a bad night for this family. He entered the home of 33-year-old Priscilla Gustafson. She was a nursery school teacher. She was pregnant. She was beloved. She was found dead. Not a lot of good things happened to her. There was a gun involved and some other disgusting things, but she had 2 kids that he drowned in separate bathtubs, killing a pregnant mother and 2 children under the age of 7. Police question the plant, but they don't have any evidence. But when they return later that day, he sees officers approaching, leaps off the porch and runs. And then there was a huge manhunt. The police dogs, the helicopters, multiple departments in there helping. He steals a van, kidnaps a woman, threatens a man with a gun, and then finally hides inside a dumpster where they find him and arrest him. That escalated fairly quickly.
Yep.
Yeah. He's convicted of murder and sentenced to not 1, not 2, but 3 life sentences. 2017, he requests a reduced sentence under this new juvenile sentencing laws. Forensic psychiatrist evaluated him and concluded he didn't show any signs of remorse. Sentence remains. What are you thinking? Unbelievable, right? Dude is living inside somebody's house.
They just let him go.
With a hatchet, a wrench, it could have turned deadly, but it took a kid jumping out of a second-story home to go get the neighbors, to get the police there, to save the family. They find him weeks later. Makes bail. Kills multiple people, and it could have been even worse. All right?
Yeah.
Blah. So there's a little bit of an aftermath. Obviously, the Bowen family, they moved away. The house was never the same. Police still cite the case as one of the most disturbing thing that they've ever encountered. And obviously the murder of the Gustafson family changed the entire community. And old Daniel spends his days behind bars at MCI Norfolk, still claiming innocence, still showing no remorse, and still considered one of the most disturbing offenders in Massachusetts history. Crazy, right? One of the craziest stories. Couldn't imagine. Just doing the Ouija board and then, just playing to the kids with the taps and the everything, and just thankful that he didn't. I mean,
creepy.
He'd watch them sleep. He'd steal their food. He'd move their stuff. It was just this weird, sick, twisted. I mean, just to be able to start developing tunnels in the walls and, walking around as they're sleeping, living in their house. It's terrifying to think. Once I started writing all these notes and learning about this story, I have not slept great. What?
Could check the walls.
Check the walls. Thankfully,
check the holes.
Well, we have holes and stuff in there from all the mice and whatever else is crawling through there, but we got the dogs. Nobody's going to mess with Biggie. But I don't know. What else you got for this case? I mean, sick, twisted, disgusting. Creepy. It's creepy, right? Not even creepy season. Well, most true crime stories, Meg, they're pretty straightforward. This one isn't. The story starts as a haunting, becomes a home invasion, turns psychological, and ends up in unimaginable tragedy. Everything you've heard is real. Every victim mattered. Every moment mattered. For anybody that made it all the way through this, thank you.
So many plot twists.
Did you like the storytelling, the buildup of it a little bit better? Did you like it?
Yeah, that's good.
Good. Well, hopefully the listeners, if you guys like this, maybe we'll do it again that way, that style next week, huh? More importantly, thanks for listening. We appreciate you, and have a great Thanksgiving. Eat some turkey, eat some rolls. What are you most excited for Thanksgiving?
I really like homemade bread. Of all the things, I like turkey the next day more than I like it on Thanksgiving.
I like it. Yeah.
In a sandwich. Mayo, salt, pepper.
Yeah.
Simple.
I'm starving. So
Perfection.
this is good. This is good. Yeah, hopefully you guys have a good Thanksgiving, safe travels, all of that good stuff. Hopefully stay healthy too. Everybody's sick around us, coming out of both ends, and I hope that stays away from our family. But yeah, have a good, safe, happy Thanksgiving. This is the Yore Town Podcast. Stay safe. Stay aware. And Meg, or anybody listening, if the walls ever whisper back, check the closet. That's all we got. We'll be back next week. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.